Welcome to today's episode. This has been a very exciting one I've had in my calendar. I've got Mike Michalowicz with us. Mike, how you doing today, my man?
I'm doing well, David. It's good to be with you, brother.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for coming on, guys. If you don't know who Mike is, do yourself a favor, look him up. I'm a huge fan of all of his books, which I've read. And Mike, it was actually Profit First for me was when I first learned about you. It was 2019. I was running like a $500,000 business at the time, and I could not figure out how to make more money from this thing. And so I deep dove your book as a bit of a case study, and now we actually teach elements of it to contractors in our program. And it's just that's how much I believe in it, man. So I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome. And I love hearing that. Keep that profit rolling.
Yeah, 100%. So let's dive in, Mike. I want to be respectful of your time. We got a few questions prepped, so we'll just get diving right in. And the first thing I want to talk about, we got a lot of contractors listening, Mike. They're doing 100, 200 grand in their business. Let's talk about the mindset around profit. And I just want to hear from you, why is it so important that a home service business owner really focuses on profit and doesn't think profit is a nice to have or a bad word in their business?
Yeah, I would say profit is an absolute necessity because it translates to sustainability, but also comfort. And at the end of the day, your clients want you to be wildly profitable. And if you don't believe me, next project or opportunity you have, call that prospect and say, hey, I'm not a profitable business, but I'd love to do this work for you, and see how they respond to that. And here's perhaps another, perhaps more extreme situation. Imagine you had to go to the doctor, and the doctor comes out and you had maybe a cardiac event or something. And they're like, oh, we have to perform surgery. And the doctor looks at you and says, but I'm not profitable. And therefore I need to get this done pretty quickly. I have I got a huge backlog of projects, and we just got to roll right now. I don't have the resources to do this fully, but I'm going to hodgepodge some stuff together. Do you want them touching your heart? No, you want your doctor to be rich and not be worried about money. The lack of money causes massive distraction. And this is true not just for doctors. It's true for home builders. It's true for contractors. It's true for everyone. The client wants to know that they are the number one client, at least in that moment, that you're caring for them, and that you have no distractions. All your thought is on providing the highest degree or quality of services or products, whatever you do. And the only way to do that is to be profitable. And I'm also speaking from experience. I've run businesses where I've been surviving check by check. I know the weight and the panic and the fear and the sleepless nights and the rush to get through jobs. I've been on the other side too, and that's where I choose to live now, is to be consistently and highly profitable. So I don't have any money worries. And yes, other business worries still present themselves, but that big one is put aside so I can focus as much as possible on caring for my clients at the highest level.
That's so good. Like, I honestly think if there's one problem to fix, and you talk about this in your books, Fix This Next, but if entrepreneurs could focus on making money, I'm sure they would love operating their businesses a whole lot more. Would you agree? Like, it just seems like it's sometimes a missing piece.
100%. And so what many business owners believe is that we need to sell our way out of the situation. If I simply sell more, that's how I'm going to get by. And we start doing this cash flow game of, I don't have enough money to pay the bills now, but if I collect some money for future work, I can pay the bills now, which is true. But then you have to do that future work, which will incur expenses, time, effort. And now you need to make money for that. So you keep on playing this game of leapfrog. And the only way to sustain that is selling a higher and higher volume. The day you have a dip in sales, that's when that whole house of cards comes crumbling down. Sales translates to stress for an organization. And what I mean by this is every time you have a sale, you have an obligation. Obligation puts responsibility on you, which means stress. So the more you sell, the more obligation, the more stress. The balance to this, the equilibrium, is profitability, because it removes that necessity to sell more out of panic to make more money. So charge more for what you do, build bigger margins to bring comfort to yourself. That way you can be fully present for your customers and you're not in this panic to just sustain through sales.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it kind of hits home with me, Mike, because last year, my sales consultant booked a large project for us. She booked a $42,000 gutter cleaning project for this large community. And like, as a management team, like we celebrated and then we're like, oh crap, now we
How do
have
we
to
do it?
figure out how to produce that because our guys were so busy with Christmas lights. So it's like it creates flex in the organization operationally.
Yeah, it puts unexpected demand. There used to be a commercial. I don't know if they run anymore, but it's worth Googling for UPS. And basically, UPS it's a scene of a small business, and they just finished typing in the code to sell online whatever product it was, and you see the person pushing go and or return, whatever, and it goes online, and you see this one guy hyperventilating into a bag, fearful they're not going to get an order. The first order comes through, and everyone's like, "Yes." Then the second and the third, and they're like, "Yes." And then like number 10 comes and they're going crazy. And then number 50 and number 100 comes and you start seeing panic ensue. Yeah. And the guy starts hyperventilating again. Yeah. And that's when that commercial ends and says, don't worry, UPS has your back. But what I love is the trajectory of business. No business is a panic state. Over demand is a panic state also, and perhaps even worse, because now your reputation's at stake. It's this middle ground we want. So we want excellent customers who sustain our profitability, but don't overstress the organization where we can't deliver on our promises.
100%. Let me give you an example here, Mike. A lot of guys listening, we kind of teach revenue. Your first truck should be able to do about $250,000, $300,000 in pressure washing, window cleaning, painting, whatever the service is.
Yeah.
Would you say that owners need to non-negotiable be profitable with that first truck? Or there's another school of thought that's like, once I get to 3 trucks and hit $1 million, then I'll be making money. Can you debunk that a little bit?
Yeah, my position, I'm very strong on this, is you got to be making money. You got to be profitable on truck number 1. Because the reason is, if you can't figure out truck number 1, why do you think you're going to figure it out with truck 2 or 3? You're actually amplifying all the intricacies of your business. So we got to be masterful at the smallest level. I have people deploying Profit First that are businesses under $50,000 in revenue, and they are profitable and they're sustainably profitable. And as those businesses grow, now they have the formula going forward. It's ironic. It's the bigger businesses that are doing $1 million, $5 million, that we have to unlearn all of the mistakes they make, untrain them, and then retrain them on Profit First. They are much more difficult to make profitable than doing it right from the get-go. So yeah, truck 1, we have to be profitable.
That's where your book helped me a lot too, Mike. When we were doing about $500,000, we sat down and deep dove our numbers, and we saw that our billable man hour was only about $65 an hour. From 2019 to 20, we almost doubled that to $125 per hour per tech. And like that, honestly, man, changed my life, because I'm like, now I'm not just staying busy, we're staying profitable. And guess what? Like, you love the business again.
Yeah, exactly. You fall back in love with the business because you're not under that constant stress. And I see that transformation regularly when people implement Profit First. I'm very proud that we have over 800,000 companies that have deployed it, and it's growing faster and faster. And the most common compliment, I guess is the word that I get, is not what I ever expected. I thought I'd be like, hey, I took a profit distribution, went on vacation. No, the most common compliment I get is the tax bill came and I had enough money reserved and paid it. And I'm just excited. And I think it's this relief. It's a relief that when you're profitable, it gets rid of those worries that are coming. And we kind of try to not open the bill and leave it on the desk type of mentality. But now we can face that stuff head on and feel comfort in that. And that's why I get back to the customer. Your customers want you to be profitable, as we started off with. They are grateful that you're profitable too, because they know that you're concentrating and caring for them. And that is important. If you're not, you can't care for your customers at the highest level.
Yeah, 100%. I got kind of like $1 million question for you, Mike. I've been really wanting to hear your take on this, because I know you consult not just in trades, but also, any type of business, any industry. So why is it that entrepreneurs struggle so much to create profit? I think they start their business with the right intentions and draw it up on a napkin. We're going to do X in revenue and this will be the profit. And then we get busy in the day-to-day and we veer away from the numbers. And then it's like, oh, profit will be a nice to have one day. Like, is it just poorly educated entrepreneurs, or what is I'm curious the why behind that. Why can't people make money from their business?
Yeah, there's 3 key factors that come to mind immediately. The first one is owners inevitably mistake themselves as a no-cost asset to the company. I can do the work and it costs us nothing. That's a massive mistake. Your time is valuable and you need to take a salary. So day one, what is a appropriate and reasonable salary you should be taking. And the company must afford that from day one. Most business owners say, I'm the freebie, I'll pay other people. And now the company has become dependent on a crutch. So we start the business off by hobbling right away. Pay yourself a salary. Because what's going to happen now is now the company's got to afford the salary, and you're forced into the next appropriate decision, which is pricing. Most business owners undervalue themselves. They simply say, you know, if I charge a little less, if I charge, 10% less than my competition for this project, I'll get all the projects. No, first of all, you won't get all the projects. You'll get customers who are the cheap customers, the ones who are looking for the cheap solution, who inevitably are also the most demanding customers. They're never satisfied because they didn't have to pay much for it. They don't have much invested in it. They want you to do it for them. It's interesting. Customers who pay more are more invested in the success. They'll actually contribute to the effort. They'll be more available for the schedule. They'll be more flexible because, gosh darn it, they're paying a lot of money. This better go right. So the more people pay, the more they're invested in the success, and the less they'll nag and be problematic. It's usually almost always the case. So businesses charge less because they think they'll get more business. They actually get worse business. So the owner thinks they're free. That's wrong. They charge too low because they think they have more customers. They'll get worse customers. And the third thing is called Parkinson's law. As money flows into the business, it is human nature when we see a resource to consume what's available based upon what we see. The more of a resource we have, the more we'll consume it. So one example is time. If you and I are discussing a contract and you say, I'll get to you in 1 week, you have 1 week's time for that resource. It'll likely take you a week. If you and I, the same people, have the same conversation around the same contract, but you say, I'll get to you in 1 day, you'll likely get to me in a day because you've compressed the resource of time. Now you have to do it with urgency. So Parkinson's law states that as more money flows in or through our business, the more we'll inherently spend because we see more. So to ensure profitability, we follow the profit first method. As money comes in, we start carving out and hiding away money from our peering eyes because that Parkinson's law nature of us is going to consume what's available. Now, with less being in front of us, we have less time, 1 day instead of a week. We will work within the confines of that, and we'll work innovatively. We'll control our costs, and the profit will pile up behind the scenes.
I love that. It's kind of like you talk about the toothpaste analogy, right? Like how many millions of people across the world squeeze their toothpaste and think of Mike before they scrub their pearly whites, right? I think it's the best analogy that you have for that, describe that Parkinson's law.
Yeah. It's funny. And people actually send pictures of themselves brushing their teeth. I'm not that into teeth brushing. I don't need to see that, but that is a great example. If I have a new tube of toothpaste, when I put the bead on my toothbrush, I will consistently use more than if it's a shriveled up tube of toothpaste. Then I'll squeeze out just small droplets or whatever. The reality is a new tube of toothpaste can last for people maybe a month. An empty tube of toothpaste can last up to a month. If we just keep stretching, rolling, twisting, some people cut the back off. Those are all expressions of Parkinson's law. A constrained supply, less toothpaste, will find ways to extract value still, cutting it off, twisting it, rolling it. A new tube of toothpaste we can use frivolously because we have an excessive amount. So you intentionally want to put your business in a prune-like toothpaste state on a regular basis so that it constrains cash, but it forces innovation. How do I cut the backside off? What else can I do? It'll force you to think outside the box to run your business effectively.
Love that. Got 2 more questions, Mike, for you that we'll hammer home. The first one is just around owner salary. Obviously, a lot of businesses are different, but can you paint for me a picture? Let's say maybe a $500,000 business that is taking strides to add that next crew and grow to $1 million. The owner, let's say they have a very active role in the business. You've been there, Mike. You're doing a 40-hour work week's like an easy week. Let's say they're working their tail off to grow this thing. Just give us a general rough example, percentage, dollar amount.
Sure. So what I do as an owner is I first do an evaluation and say, what are all the things I'm doing? You're probably the best salesperson for your organization. You're probably the most technically sophisticated, like you know how to do all the hard tech stuff. You're probably the best at customer service. You probably manage the books. Write down that list. Now ask yourself, if I had to hire this person, what would I have to pay someone to do this? And even in a $500,000 business, it's probably a high double digit, like $80,000, $90,000, maybe it's $100,000 or more. Yeah. inevitably the business owner undermines that and says, well, but it's me who's doing it. I'll be the last to get paid. I got to pay all my employees first and see what's left over for me. And they're paying themselves maybe 10 or 20,000 a year. It's positioning the business to constantly struggle because now you're this crutch. So first define that. Once you know that number, let's say it is 100,000. Well, that's 20% of a $500,000 business. What I do in the Profit First system is every time a deposit comes in, I take 20% of that deposit because that's available and necessary to pay the appropriate salary for that person. And you are that person. And here's the reality. If the business is dependent on you and you ever got sick or ill and you had to hire that someone, you better have a means to pay that someone. It can't come out of thin air. So let's learn that discipline with you. Secondly, when you're paying yourself the appropriate salary, it's our psychology. We feel the company, even though it's our company, is now treating us right. And we actually feel a sense of honor and we respect our company. When we don't pay ourselves well, we often resent our company and dislike our company.
Yeah.
So I would allocate in this scenario, roughly 20% at least to owner's compensation. I'd allocate maybe even 15% to taxes because when you're making 100 grand, you're going to get a tax bill that may be 30, 45, 50 grand. It's going to be a big number. I'd also reserve money for profit. And then the remainder, which may be now 30 or 40% or less, is going to operating expenses. That's your tube of toothpaste that you must run your business off of. And when you know what that number is, you will figure out a way to get it done for sure.
Yeah, it's so good, Mike. Like, I think the example you gave there, you're going to have a lot of owners thinking, goodness me, I actually don't have enough, as much money as I thought to go hire all those different people and do all these different tasks. That's why I'm always an advocate of a hybrid role. For example, someone stepping off the truck, you can first start with a part-time employee or
Sure.
a part-time employee in the office, because a $50,000 salary for a full-time guy or full-time person in the office, that can really hurt our P&L. So I think that's a really good exercise to go through.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny, if I go to a conference with business owners, pretty much of any size, but particularly smaller businesses under $1 million in revenue, I often start off by saying, hey, who here has a personal assistant? Like 3 hands go up and I say, okay, put those down. Who doesn't? Just so we're clear, who does not have a personal assistant? All the hands go up. And then I point at them and say, well, that means you are the personal assistant.
Yeah.
One hire I suggest every business does, even if you're doing $100,000 in revenue, is get a personal assistant. Now, when people hear that, they say, I can't afford a full-time personal assistant. I didn't say full-time.
Yeah.
Get someone that works 2 hours a month for you and takes care of one small task. Maybe they do collection calls for you. Maybe they do a little bit of scheduling. Maybe they take care of your own home responsibilities. But what happens here by hiring someone, for 2 or 3 hours a month, they charge $10. You're probably paying $30. What you're doing is, first of all, you're taking a little bit of stuff off your plate. But the bigger thing is you're learning how to delegate. You're learning that you can remove stuff off your plate, that other people can manage it. You actually build this internal confidence. Over time, you delegate more. You learn how to assign and manage as opposed to do.
Wow, so good. Final question, Mike. Home service business. I agree with the point. Our clients, for the most part, want us to be profitable, but I'm gonna push you on this and play devil's advocate a bit. We're in an industry, Mike. There's new pressure washing, new junk removal, new painting companies. They door knock. They will do the job for half the price, underbid. How can a contractor ensure that they build their business so that they can command a premium price? Because I think a lot of listeners are like, okay, I know I need to make profit. Let's say I'm bidding a job at $2,000. And when they deep dive their numbers, that job, Mike, actually has to be bid at $3,000, but they're struggling with, like, my clients will never say yes to that because of the competition. So what can a listener do to kind of move up the scale in building that brand?
The number one form of marketing in the world is price. And no one knows that, or no one observes that. But here's how I know you know it. If you and I were sitting in a room, David, and I put a diamond ring on the table and said, that's worth $50. You'd say, oh, it's a cubic zirconia. Oh, okay, it's a piece of junk. It's costume jewelry. If I put the exact same thing down, so that's $50,000, all of a sudden the tongs come out, that little velvet bag, we put it in the safe. Our behavior is around price. So what I would do with your pricing is actually push toward the higher price, over $3,000, $3,500, and say to my customers and prospects, do you want it cheap or do you want it right? And customers inherently know this. There is certain customers that want cheap, and Groupon which has subsequently failed, by the way, is a great example of what happens with cheap. All these businesses went on Groupon. Like there was a barber shop in our own town that said, I'll do cuts for half the price. And the reason I'm doing this is I'm hoping to attract customers that are going to stay with me. Well, instead of doing a cut for, say, $35, they're doing it for $15. They're not making any money doing it. They get a swath of cheap buyers who come one time and never return. And why don't they come back? They say, well, aren't you going to be $15 forever? Because if not, I'm going to find the next cheap guy. There is a portion of the community who will always seek out the cheap option, and they have zero loyalty. There's another portion of the community who want the right option, and they have high loyalty, and they're dictating it's a diamond ring by the price. So actually, that's your best marketing. Move the price up, explain that we do the quality job. Do you want it right or cheap? If you want it's right, it's going to be us, and this is going to be the price. You're actually vetting out customers. And when someone says, no, I found a cheaper option, thank God you're not working with them, because that client or that competition of yours is now struggling to do that work because they're losing money.
Wow, that's so good. I had a meeting with our team, Mike, actually talking through this, saying the vision for my company is that we get 1,000 clients that pay us $1,000 a year, and we get them recurring. And I'm like, there's our beautiful 7-figure business. Our net profit goal for our washing company is 25%. And so that is our goal that we have set to build, because I think I've been in this industry 15 years now. I think you just get sick and tired of having people come along for a one-off $200 gutter clean that they're just price shopping you one against the next.
Oh yeah. I used to own a business. We manufactured leather products, sheaths for knives specifically. And what we did is we listed all the cheap option. We said, thank you for considering Hedgehog Leather Works. That was our company. And we said, we have a premium product here. And if you want it right, we are the choice. But we also know that some people are seeking the cheapest option. Here are all the cheap solutions out there, and listed them off. And we didn't lose business to it. We gained it. With power washers, there are certain homeowners who just want that quick, crappy job, but there's still going to be mold in the house. There's going to be missed spots and so forth. There are certain customers who say, the house is a representation of who I am. I want to come home and enjoy my space, or I have guests over and I want them to see how much I care for my house. Those customers specifically will avoid cheap. They'll seek out right. So to realize not every customer is a high-end right buyer or a cheapo cheap buyer. There is a mix. We have to pick what mix we want to be in. And I select people who care and are wanting to pay a premium.
Yeah, 100%. Don't build out the Walmart of home services. You're not.
Yeah, let the competition do that and struggle and die. Yeah.
Yeah. Last question, Mike. I'll give you the mic. One gold nugget. Someone's doing 100, 200K. They want to grow. What would be one piece of advice, whether that's around money, time, mindset? Can you just sum it up? One Mike Michalowicz gold nugget.
All right, this is the gold nugget, because it's a Jedi mind trick technique, and won't sound like in the beginning, because that's what Jedis do. Ask your best customers who you work with now, ask them, what are we doing right? Now, here's why it's a Jedi mind trick. They won't tell you what you're doing right. They will tell you how they judge you. And here's an example. I used to have a computer business. My best customer was a hedge fund. I said, what am I doing right? He says, you respond quickly. What I knew in that moment was he observed how quickly I responded. Therefore, if I responded faster, he would notice that. I do 1,000 things he doesn't notice, but he told me in that one question, the one thing he did notice. So here's the irony. Whatever you do right is actually the thing you need to do better. So ask your best customers, what am I doing right? When they tell you, do that better, you'll build a reputation for excellence and you'll dominate your industry.
Boom. If I'm holding the mic, I'm going to drop it. That's a great sum up. Mike, tell us how listeners can find out more about you. I'm glad you came on this time, because we just crossed over 200,000 downloads on our podcast.
Hey, congratulations.
So we're going to push people to buy your books. And I know your last name's complicated to spell, and you got kind of a secret email address. So just tell us where we can go. Yeah,
so you can go to my site. My last name is Michalowicz. No one can spell it. So I do have a hack. It's Mike Motorbike. It's a nickname I had in grade school. It's the only G-rated nickname. That's why I use it. So Mike Motorbike, as in the motorcycle.com. And all my books are there. I write for small businesses, just like we've been talking about. And all of my books, you can get free chapter downloads. And I call them the action chapters. It's not the fluff. It's stuff that you can take action on and see some benefit. So go to mikemotorbike.com, get the free resources, the book chapters, and I think you're off to the races.
mikemotorbike.com.
Exactly.
Love it. Well, Mike, thank you so much for your time here. We'll get this episode up. I know it's going to help tons and tons of home service entrepreneurs. And just thank you so much from me personally, too, for the books you write, because it's been a massive shift in my mindset in business. So you made my day, man, coming on today to talk to us.
You made my day by having me. David, thanks for sharing all that.
You bet. Thank you, Mike. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.